this week after the developer announced a share sale of its retail subsidiary. Now, the sale could be worth nearly $2.5 billion. Well, joining us now, we're very pleased to say, for an exclusive conversation is the Emaar Properties Chairman. He's Mohammed Albar. Mr. Albar, great to have you on the program. As always, just give us a sense of why now you think is a good time to start listing Dubai malls.
Well, of course, if you look at the local market, or if you look at the UAE in general, or looking at the Middle East, I think GDP growth has gone between 5 and 6%. Look at the global scene. There is some optimism going there, but the stable organization that we have in our malls business and the growth that we've been witnessing in our mall business the past 5 years, I think it's a good indication of what might happen in this company. So the local market is in good shape. We think London is in good shape. So therefore, it's the right time to take some money back to our shareholders.
Mohammed, good morning, it's Guy. I'm curious about the fact that you're going to go with a dual listing here. Is that because there isn't as much liquidity maybe in the local market as you would require?
Well, the local market has a lot of liquidity, but I think it's also our duty towards our shareholder and the brand that we carry is that we need to be out in the international market, because I think that's part of the long-term strategy of the company, that we build relationship with international investors.
Can you just confirm, Mr. Albar, where you're looking to list? So this would be London and Dubai. On Dubai would be the Nasdaq Dubai or the other one?
Well, we are going for, of course, Nasdaq Dubai, so that will give us a choice. That will give us comfort to do it comfortably in Dubai and in London. I think the rules are in line with international accepted rules and regulations, and I think local investors will be happy, international investors will be happy too.
And London, you're hoping to get this done by midsummer, right, before Ramadan, which starts at the end of June?
Well, we've done a lot of work, but I hope we can do it before mid-June. That will give us plenty of time. I just hope that the team moves on and get it done as soon as possible, because once you announce it, I think shareholders and the market are excited to see it in the market.
Mohammed, the Dubai Stock Exchange has doubled in the last couple of years. Global markets generally are sort of roaring at the moment. We're talking every day here in London about a new IPO that's coming through. Clearly, the window of opportunity is open right now. How much longer do you think it stays open for, though?
Well, of course, if you look at the amount of the size of liquidity that exists between Asia, Middle East, or even in the US and Europe, I think there's a lot of liquidity in the market. I think it's open for a while in my views, but it all depends what you're coming into the market with. If you're coming in with a good company, good product, good track record, strong management, good fundamentals of the business, I think you will do well. Plus, keep in mind that we've gone through a horrible 6-7 years. Therefore, a lot of companies are in much better shape while the liquidity is also available.
Why London? It seems, I mean, we have some great companies, and it's also, I guess, very high-end, very luxury-focused, which is exactly what Dubai malls. Was there ever any discussion to list it anywhere else?
No, I guess London is an international market for our customer, for our clients, and I think banks as well like dealing with London. I think accessibility to investors. So London has the depth and has the reputation, and I think it's just basically very accommodating to all of us, and it's very easy to do business for us in London.
Commercial rents were up 22% in 2013 in Dubai. Is 2014 going to look pretty similar, do you think?
When it comes to our performance, I think looking at the coming 4 years, I think the numbers are looking reasonably good. Cash flow is looking strong. I think performance is also looking strong, just because the city of Dubai and the UAE is really moving forward after the tough time that the whole world have gone through. So we think that 14 will be quite a good year, but I think 15 onward, they're going to be very strong years, of course, mainly because of the accounting standards, where we do a lot of sale, but it goes into our backlog, and that all be reflected in our profit and loss account once these properties are delivered, which is a good 24 months, 18, 24 months, 30 months, and so on.
Mohammed, the Expo 2020, the World Expo, is coming up in 2020. Can I extrapolate out to that point and say there's going to be an awful lot of capacity coming on in Dubai during that period? There's going to be an awful lot of construction, and for a company, therefore, like yours, up until that point, you really have your work cut out for you, but it's pretty good for the bottom line.
Yeah. Well, my views all along is that really Dubai doesn't need 2020. Because Dubai was roaring and growing so strong before the announcement of Expo 2020. The great thing about Expo 2020 is that it validates this city, and it really gives it the confidence that this is a city that's recognized by the world as one of the main global cities to serve the region, Africa, Middle East, India. So I agree with you. I think there'll be a lot of activities in the city. Expectation that maybe just the typical growth of the city of Dubai cannot be sustained unless we move a little faster.
Are there any other units that you're looking to IPO at this moment in time? I know you mentioned one of your Egyptian subsidiaries, Emaar. Do you have a timeline on that yet?
Yeah. Well, we've just started work on Egypt, and believe it or not, the market in Egypt is quite good for us. We did quite well last year, even though there's a lot of trouble in Egypt, but we believe that the years coming forward are good, so we are getting that work done. We've started some work on our hospitality division, and we believe that it's also looking good, but maybe we should delay it for a year or more till we decide on listing.
Mohammed, you're pretty plugged into the global property markets. I think we can probably say that with some degree of certainty. Look, what do you make of what is happening in the hotspots like London and New York at the moment? Prices just seem to be ever going up, and you kind of wonder where this all ends. What is your take on this, particularly given kind of the experience you've had over the last few years?
Well, I think when I look at London, I look at New York. These are global cities. Number one, and I think everybody that makes a little bit of money wants to have a piece of New York, wants to have a piece of London. So that's why supply is quite tight. Keeping in mind the supply is tight because these cities are well built as old historic cities. But I think the other element is that people are looking at real estate as a currency nowadays. So there's a lot of money that's going into real estate for I guess as a reserve currency. But people go to stable environment for such investments. So that's why New York is doing well. That's why London is doing well. And I must tell you that we see some of that effect is coming to Dubai as well.
You seem pretty optimistic, Mr. Albar. You seem pretty optimistic about Dubai malls. You seem pretty optimistic about real estate around the world. What is the one thing that concerns you the most? Is there something in the world economy or regionally that you're unsure about?
Well, of course, keep in mind that I think the whole world is going through critical issues. If it's the situation in Russia, or if it's what's happening in the Middle East, the instability that's happening around Iran, or what's happening in Turkey, or still the new government in Egypt. So we have to deal with all these facts. But the truth is that we've gone through a very difficult 7 years where I think the banking system have learned, businessmen have learned, we think that government also have learned, a lot of liquidity available. I think the companies are working with better ethics, principle, governance. Therefore, the world have to move on. People have to live. People have to move forward. Therefore, I think, yes, I am optimistic because we've been quiet for so long. The market indications are really good. The fundamentals are really good. Of course, certain markets are a little different than others. Maybe we're affected, our business in Turkey is a little affected by what's going on in Turkey, but we know very well that Istanbul will always be Istanbul. Can we handle the pressure that's happening on the ground in Istanbul as a company or not? Yes, we can.
All right, Mohammed Albar, thank you so much for joining us today, the chairman there of Emaar Properties, and then we'll have to get you here in the studio in London. I don't know when the roadshow starts, but we'll pin you down for that.
Thank you. Okay, still to come, shake up at the Bank of England. Deputy governors have just been named. We'll bring you more on that breaking news when we come back.